So, Odysseus's men had been turned into pigs by Circe the enchantress. But Hermes, the messenger god, protected Odysseus and helped him get his men turned back into men instead of pigs. Now, Odysseus and his men are staying at the palace of Circe the enchantress until they're feeling strong again. Let's rejoin them for chapter 6, Another Journey. In the days that followed, Odysseus and his men enjoyed the warmth and luxury of Circe's palace. They rested and ate good meat and drank sweet wine. As they refreshed themselves on the enchanted island, time passed swiftly. The days turned into weeks and the weeks into months. After a full year, Odysseus's men came to him. "Should we not leave this place soon?" one asked. "Have you forgotten Ithaca?" said another. "Shall we never see our homeland again?" Odysseus's heart was stirred by the words of his men. He thought of home, of Penelope and Telemachus, and of his mother and father. A great yearning to see them rose up in him. He hurried to Circe's chambers. "My men and I are strong again, thanks to your kindness," he said. "But remember the promise you made me? You said you would help us return safely to Ithaca, once we had rested and regained our strength." "And I shall," said Circe, "but you must take another journey first. You must seek counsel from Tiresias, the blind prophet of Thebes. Tiresias sees the future. Only he can tell you how to get home." "But Tiresias of Thebes is dead," said Odysseus, puzzled. "Yes, Tiresias is dead," said Circe, "but he still has all the wisdom he had on earth." "I do not understand," said Odysseus. "How can one who lives in the land of the dead give counsel to a living man?" "You must travel to the land of the dead," said Circe. "There you will speak to the ghost of Tiresias." Odysseus could not speak. It seemed an unbearable terror for a living man to visit the dark world ruled by the god Hades and his queen Persephone. "No man has ever found the land of the dead," he said in a hushed voice. "Only the spirits know how to travel there. What ship will take me? What wind will blow?" "You cannot travel all the way to there in your ship," said Circe. "The north wind will take you to the edge of the sea, to Oceanus, the river that circles the world. Once you've sailed across Oceanus, you may enter the land of the dead." Okay, let me explain something really quick because this is different. So, long ago, people believed that the world was flat. Some of them may have thought it was a circle. Some of them thought it was a square, like a map. So they believed that at the edge of the world, there was the land of the dead, and that you could actually sail your ship to the edge, and if you kept going, you'd fall off. Strangely enough, people believed that for a very, very long time. Interesting, huh? In fact, at the front of my book, I have for you a map, kind of like what they thought it would look like. So here's Circe's Island, and then if you sailed around here to the edge of the world, you would find the land of the dead. And then just for reference, Ithaca is way over here. "What must I do then?" Odysseus asked. "You must disembark from your ship and travel on foot through a grove of willows and poplars," said Circe. "When you come to the place where two rivers meet, the river of groans and the river of flame, dig a trench. Pour honey, milk, wine, and white barley meal into it as gifts to the spirits of the dead. Then sacrifice 2 sheep and pour their blood into the trench. After you've done this, stand guard until the ghost of Tiresias appears. Allow him to drink from the trench, and he will tell you how to find your way home to Ithaca." Odysseus bowed his head. He knew he could not avoid this dreadful journey if he wanted to see his home and family again. He tried to gather his courage, as he so often ordered his men to do. He looked up at Circe and nodded. Then, without another word, Odysseus pulled on a fine cloak and strode through the palace, waking each of his men. "Rise now," Odysseus said. "We must leave this place today." The men were relieved, for they imagined they were about to sail for home. But when the Greeks had gathered outside the palace, Odysseus revealed their true destination. "Soon we will set sail for Ithaca," he said. "But first we must go on another journey. We must travel to the land of the dead. There I will speak with the ghost of the wise prophet Tiresias." The men cried out in protest, but Odysseus told them he had no choice. "Only Tiresias can tell me how to find the way home," he said. "Please come with me. Give me company on my journey to the land of the dead." Their heads bowed in anguish, the men followed their leader down to their ship. They climbed aboard, they hoisted their sails and pushed out to sea. As the black ship sailed over the waves, Odysseus felt a gust of warm, gentle wind. He sensed that Circe was close by. The enchantress sent fresh breezes all day. She filled the sails of the black ship and sent it flying over the waves. The land of the dead. When the sun had gone down and darkness had fallen, Odysseus and his men arrived at the edge of the sea. They sailed through a gray mist into the deep waters of Oceanus, the river that flows around the world. Then they sailed across Oceanus and finally came to the land of the dead. The Greeks moored their vessel on a dark river bank shrouded in fog. As they stared into the mist, the men shook with terror, afraid to venture into the haunted realm. Odysseus himself trembled at the thought of what lay ahead. But with firm resolve he stepped ashore and ordered his men to follow him with 2 sheep from Circe's island. Odysseus and his men traveled on foot through a grove of poplars and willows. They stopped when they came to the place where 2 rivers met, the river of flame and the river of groans. There, in a place never touched by the rays of the sun, Odysseus dug a deep trench. He poured in the mixture of honey, milk, wine, and white barley meal. He offered prayers for the spirits of the dead. Then he ordered his men to slay the 2 sheep as a sacrifice to the gods. As soon as Odysseus poured the blood of the sacrificed animals into the trench, ghostly beings appeared out of the mist. The spirits of old men and women, the spirits of warriors still wearing their armor, the spirits of young women who had mourned for their lost men and died of broken hearts. Thousands of ghosts began moving slowly toward the Greeks. Drawn to the scent of the blood, they made strange, wailing noises. Odysseus's men shook and trembled. Odysseus himself turned pale with fear, but he drew his sword to keep the spirits away until the ghost of Tiresias, the blind prophet, appeared. While Odysseus fiercely guarded the trench, his gaze came to rest on one of the spirits floating through the mist. With shock and horror, he recognized someone he loved very dearly. Moving toward him was the ghost of his own mother. Today, I want you to write a quick summary of what we have read. So tell me the important things that have happened. There's a little guide for you on the next slide. You'll write the summary on the slide after that. I'll see you back here tomorrow when we find out what happens in the land of the dead.